Hey, HR friends, welcome back. We're in the 4-2 emotional 6.5 day sequence. We're going to talk about day two. Now, if you haven't looked at the general overview for the 4-2 sequence, we suggest you back out of this video, and right below this video on the web page here, you can click this button and see the general overview. That will talk about the entire week, and it will also simplify this so that you can keep up to us because these 24-hour forecasts, we scoot right along. All right, so day two is going to be challenging, and you can see third person is where the challenge is going to be. There's still an emotional polarity flip that's happening through day two in third person. So this is the bigger picture items. Don't overinvest in the bigger picture. All right, and definitely don't get agitated with what's going on in the bigger picture and argue with the people in your life. Now, first person, we've reset down to 0. Now it's bouncing up to 2 and gets up to 3, but this is pretty light. Now, is this still going to cause irritation? Anytime there's a polarity moment, it's agitating your defensive design. But 4 is the number we worry about, okay? Now, when we come up and we look at combined, we can see that the combined reaches 4 for at least the first half of the day before it drops back off. Now, at the end of day 2 and the beginning of day 3, we really got a kick up here. So you're going to want to be prepared at the end of day 2 to make sure you don't make day 3 a little bit harder for yourself. Also, we talked about this emotional polarity flip. While this is happening, it's very easy to jump to conclusions. It's very easy to make that story up in your head that's going to convince you that you need to argue or that you need to cause conflict. Don't do it. Because all that's going to do is it's going to create the stress that accelerates your aging and it's going to create future states of disease. All right, so we definitely don't want this unseen electromagnetic pattern manipulating our choices because if it does, what it does is it just tricks us into suffering. You see, we're in a sentient space time reality that has frequencies that govern our choices. Our choices matter. And if our choices are unbalanced, and that's what our defensive design does, is it convinces us that we don't have to get along with certain people or that we don't have to balance our routine. It's not true. If you don't do those things, there are consequences. And this is the testing sequence for the 4-2 emotional sequence for day two. Now, in day two, you're going to see that left upper quadrant's going to get tested heavier than it was in day one. You're also going to see that right upper quadrant's going to get tested heavier than it was in day one. Now, there's a small back down in what's going to happen in the left lower quadrant. Day one, left lower quadrant was by far the heavily tested one. Now it's going to back down a little bit, but it's definitely above that 4 range, okay? This one's above the 4. And right lower quadrant, that's actually going to peter out here in day two. So this is what you have to look at this week. Now, if you wonder why you hurt one day more than another day, well, our routines are pretty consistent. Most people have a consistent routine. Now, as they practice that consistent routine, what changes is this testing sequence. So if you're wondering why this week you're really feeling your left low back more and last week you felt your left upper back more, it just has to do with the testing sequence. And what it does is it confirms you're out of balance. So what you got to do if you want to be in sequence with these frequencies is you got to commit to your team and you got to commit to balancing your routine. And when you balance your routine, what you do is going to leave every future teammate or every future family that comes into existence better off than what you got to experience yourself. That's how you balance with these frequencies. That's how you stop aging. That's how you slow the progression of disease. And that's how you heal yourself is by understanding this, your commitment, your focus, and your consistency. All right, let's get down here now. Let's talk about day two zoomed in. Now, when we do the zoom in, what we really want to do is we want to put these time fields in here, and this is universal time, okay? And you can do the time zone conversion for your own time zone. What we suggest you do is you go to our homepage, and we've got a live feed. It's got a time bar. You hit play. It shows you exactly where we are within the sequence. Now, there are some alignments today that we need to talk about. There's just 2 of them, and they're only going to be testing how we get along with our teammates, all right? And they're both going to be testing the upper left quadrant. Now, whether it's left or right quadrant, mother and father or maturing perspectives, you always do them together, okay? It's not one or the other, it's both. So it's going to get tested, and if you're having problems getting along with the maturing males or maturing females on our team, you're going to feel it in the left quadrant, but it really has to do with engaging both of them, not just one or the other. Now, These alignments, when they happen for very specific amounts of time. One's going to happen for 3 hours, the other's going to happen for an hour and a half. If you feel pain, if you get a headache, if you have visual change, if things go sideways, well, that time bar is running through this. It's just an amplified moment, and it's confirming that you're out of balance with your choices. And green means you've really got to work on the two top colors. Green and yellow go together, right? That's what creates the upper half of the body. So you got to work on getting along with those older teammates. And getting along with the older teammates is also about developing a bigger picture of what we have to do if we're going to be the mothers and fathers of all the future generations, how we're going to have to balance the larger picture in order to make sure that they're going to have a balanced, smaller picture that they come into. Now, down here, you can see that the testing sequence is just zoomed in. And when you go to our live feed, it'll show where the time bar is. It'll show you exactly where we are in this testing sequence. Now, these two graphs are bonus graphs. I put them on here because it shows where the strongest frequencies sit in the body. And there is a definite imbalance today. You see it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of the 10 are laying on this left side. And there's nothing on right side on first person, and there's nothing in upper left on third person. What does that mean? So if you get right-sided pain in this next 24-hour period of time, we can be certain that you're having trouble balancing your routines. The way that you're contributing is unbalanced. It's not making sure that everyone that comes after you is going to have something better because of your choices. Now, the same thing here. If you get left upper quadrant pain that goes on for this 24-hour period of time, we know darn well it's not your routines. What it is you're having trouble getting along with those older teammates. Now, in the areas where there's overlap, like this orange area right here, this is where if you have problems in the left lower quadrant, you need to document, because which one is it? Now, in truth, I say this every time. It's this simple. Commit to the team, balance your routine, and all these graphs are going to not be necessary for your future. All right. All right, let's end on this. So this is the rest of the electromagnetics for 2024. No more mystery. We're posting this well in advance. You can come and see when this is. And what we want to do is empower individuals to overcome this pattern, to stop creating stress in their lives, to stop creating stress with the people they influence. And the more people that we get overcoming this pattern, when we get regions and nations of people overcoming this pattern, that's when we're going to make a collective difference. That's what Health Reconnected is up to. And to make a collective difference, well, we have to empower the individual. That's why we do these forecasts. See you in the next 24.